Darren James Leonard James Promotions. Your dining experience is probably the most important aspect of your pleasure cruise. The food that you eat while on your cruise will determine whether you have a good or bad vacation. Better quality food is made with healthier and more expensive ingredients, which costs cruise line more money. This means that customers who would like healthier or more extravagant meals should be willing to pay more for it. Of all the many cruise lines, there are only a few of them that offer quality meals. This is because the vast majority of cruise lines have to serve a large volume of meals to customers within a relatively short period of time. Because of the large demand for food, the amount of time spent preparing it is shortened in order to maximize both profits and productivity. Despite this reality, customers should find that all of the served food is at least palatable. If you travel on a cheaper cruise line, then it's likely that you will be served pre-cooked frozen meals. These meals are cooked while on land, frozen, loaded onto the ships and then reheated and served to the customers. Most of the foods that you are served on these cruise lines are not fresh because of the reheating process that they go through. If you're interested in eating fresh meals while on your cruise, then you should consider paying for a more expensive cruise line, as the preparation process is very costly. In addition, many of these cruise lines make healthier eating options available to their customers. If your weight is a concern of yours, then you should consider one of the healthy food options. These food options are typically prepared with less salt and creamy sauces. Many of the meals that you might eat on a cheaper cruise line vacation are coated in salt and creamy sauces in order to cover up the stale taste you get from eating reheated foods. If you're a vegan or someone who only eats organic foods, then it's likely you're out of luck. Most of these cruise lines use processed fruit juices and canned fruits. Most vegans will have difficulty coping with the limited food options available to them while on vacation. Always remember that there is more to a cruise vacation than the food you're served. If you want to get the most out of your experience, it's important you focus on the other aspects of your trip. Cruise ships are usually large ships that carry a lot of people and are used basically as passenger ships for leisure tours. They are also known as luxury liners and offer great recreational amenities. They offer fine food, sports activities, casinos, cultural activities and great cabins designed to give the passengers a vacation retreat while sailing on the waters. While not confined to mainstream cruise ships, there are smaller cruise ships for more intimate gatherings. They offer a wide range of activities that cater to the interests of the different age groups of their passengers, which is always a delight for guests. These amenities are part and parcel of the cruise ship experience, which people pay a lot for, thus, they have become a major part of tourism in the recent years. The demand for cruise ships has increased greatly since 2001, and since then, as much as 10 ships are built yearly to supply the ever-increasing demand for cruise liners, attracting hundreds of thousands of tourists yearly. Luxury liners may carry as much as 3,500 passengers per voyage and weigh more over than 100,000 tons. Indeed, they are probably the biggest ships to ever cruise the Earth's waters. The travel paths of cruise liners used to be confined to transatlantic crossings, with the ship's amenities as the main selling point for such. In the years that followed, luxury ships offered tropical and exotic destinations as part of the voyage, more commonly the Caribbean and through the Mediterranean. At present, cruise ships with varied destinations commonly cruise the globe simultaneously, notwithstanding season changes. This offers the great diversity and flexibility that adventurous travelers have in mind. Also, tourists who intend to make the most of their vacation time and plan on going to several places at a time prefer cruise ships for the sheer number of places you can go to at your convenience. Nowadays, cruise ships are basically designed to be like floating hotels, offering complete amenities and employing courteous and well-trained staff to cater to their clients' every need. Because of the number of guests and staff on cruise liners, proper food and supply provisioning is essential for the success of the voyage. Consider buying yourself and the family one luxury cruise vacation. Over a particular departure date, you would embark any one of the first-class, hotel-like cruise ships for every vacation of yours. It would serve as the sailboat, a temporary home, shopping center, massage parlor, entertainment center, and many more. A cruise ship might house all these and other kind of amenities in some urban areas. Yes, it may. It makes some cruise on a holiday not only for an escapade to not to forget but also as one excellent option for the next vacation. Cruise ships are known as some cruise or luxury ships, or passenger ships which are used for going pleasure voyages. This voyage itself and their amenities, which might be found over the board, are the essential parts of one cruising experience. The sudden growth of cruises in a travel industry made cruise lines to make some modern ships which would cater the needs of growing cruise passengers. It has itineraries for beautiful destinations, where sailors and engineers design cruise ships which can survive various sea-related factors. Development and history. The Titanic is the prime ancestor of the cruise ships present today, which has fine eating areas, nicely appointed staterooms, and also other amenities which are needed by some passengers who are on board. During 19th century, one director Albert Ballin of Hamburg, America was the very first man to conduct one regular practice of allowing a transatlantic ship on southern trips on the very worst winter. Not only as one ship, it's also used like a propaganda for promoting the cruising vacation. A Love Boat One 1970s television series had Pacific Princess, a cruise of a named Princess Cruise. It has raised awareness of various cruises like One Vacation opting only for very rich guys but also for very ordinary people in U.S. cruise ships present. In 2004, there are hundreds of cruises, which have a great carrying capacity of 3,000 passengers and more, displacing much more than 1 million ton. Thus, it's the largest ships which were ever built. It may cruise to destinations like Antarctica. Modern ships too are considered as a floating hotel, having one complete staff in addition with a regular ship crew. These cruises are designed for handling adequate provision of food. Cruise ships are serving thousands of eatables at every setting. Storage facilities for many raw ingredients and many beverages are always with the latest technology. Queen Mary II is the largest ship in operation now. It has 151,400 gross tons and is owned by Cunard Line, one of those subsidiaries in Carnival Corporation, the large cruise company in operation today. Queen Mary II has 5 onboard pools, sweeping stairs, 1 ballroom, a 360-degree deck, and various specialty shops. It's built for reviving the glamour of the ocean liners. The business would sink as jet travel started the prominence over the Atlantic. Cruise ship future. Just now, Royal Caribbean International told last February 6 of 2006 that they would be releasing in the autumn of 2009 the very large and the expensive cruise ship on the globe, which amounted to $1.24 billion. It's named Project Genesis. It may also hold 6,400 passengers. It's estimated to possess a gross ton of around 220,000. 1 gross register ton is the only standard measurement for a ship's size, which is equal to 100 feet cubed. The $1.24 billion pay would cover every expense required for the interior finishing of a ship. Now, what else would you expect from these kind of cruise ships? The food on board a cruise ship is an often misunderstood aspect of your cruise holiday. It is true that the dining room has a dress code, but there are other options. It is true that the dining room portions are small, but you can order as many as you want. How is the food on a cruise ship? In a word, awesome. Cruise ship cuisine is as good as almost any 5-star restaurant. At each dinner, you will find a varied selection of entrees, many featuring steak, seafood, lamb, veal and other high-quality and normally very expensive dishes. Of course, this is all included in the price of your sailing. In addition, the menu varies from day to day. Every day when you sit down to dinner, you will be presented with a menu that is entirely different from the one the day before. This will allow you to try a dish you have never tried before, and if you don't like it, no problem, simply ask for something else. Your alternative selection will be brought to you at no charge. If you so choose, you could make a habit of ordering a different entree every night. Indulgent? Yes, but that what cruising is all about, indulgence. What if I don't want to eat at a certain time? One of the wonderful features of cruise cuisine is the dining room experience. However, if you are sandals at the buffet type of person, that's fine too. The buffet is open 24 hours on most ships. Unlike the dining room, the buffet has no set times and no dress code. What can I get at a cruise buffet? Almost all cruise ships have a pizza counter where you can ask for fresh pizza as often as you wish at any time you wish. Almost all cruise ships have a sandwich delicatessen where you can order from a large selection of gourmet sandwiches. Plus they all have a main buffet where the selection is as varied as any shopping mall food court, except of course that you don't have to pay for it. The questions that one might have about the food on a cruise can be as varied as the food on the cruise itself. The bottom line may be, eat whatever you want as often as you want. This is one of the unique aspects of cruise vacations, all you can eat and no waiting for the check. When I cruise, I really enjoy everything it has to offer. From the first-class Broadway-style shows to the 5-star gourmet cuisine. If you are going on a cruise vacation, you will also want to get the most out of it also. There are many great reasons for going on a cruise, such as unpacking just once, great entertainment, interesting ports of call and certainly, great dining. However, in recent years, more and more cruise lines are opening specialty restaurants on board that require you pay additional in order to eat there. What's that all about? What happened to first or second seating in the main dining room, as opposed to having the buffet in the area where we usually have breakfast? Well, times have changed. Cruising has become an activity appealing to a much larger portion of the population than it was a decade ago, and the cruise lines are waging sea battles to attract them with new ships, luxurious amenities, exotic ports of call and, yes, variations in dining venues. The first time I encountered this change was on a cruise from Buenos Aires to the Caribbean about a decade ago. We had opted for second seating dining and were told to be sure that we made our reservations for alternate venues when we arrived in our stateroom. I had no idea what he was referring to. We went to the concierge and he enlightened us. There were now 4 areas where full meals were available, in addition to the coffee bars, snack areas, ice cream shop and poolside orders. You could choose from the main dining room, of course, the buffet for breakfast, midnight spreads, casual lunch and dinner, and the newest additions, the Asian Rim and the Italian Ristorante. And so begins the culinary experience at sea. What a great idea! You would go to the main dining room for gracious, formal American, continental dining or have some sushi in another. What a great dining experience! The Asian dining room was beautifully decorated, the staff was extremely familiar with the menu and made excellent recommendations, and the food superb. The only unwelcome surprise was an additional charge. Charge for food on a cruise? We were told that it was for waiters' gratuities, and in my opinion, it was well worth the small extra charge. Fast forward to the present. Cruise fares on many lines have been reduced, so that the ability to cruise is affordable, even in this gloomy economy. Economists will tell us that if one aspect of a commodity is reduced in price, it is very possible that corollary aspects of that commodity may increase. The cruise lines are not in business to lose money, so creative innovations have been introduced. Welcome to the alternate restaurant. I think this is a great improvement, not that shipboard dining was ever dull. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The options were vast and there was no reason not to enjoy a tasting menu of numerous entrees or appetizers, other than the added calories and your waistline. But lately I've heard complaints about lesser quality of food and fewer choices, so let's explore some of the new haunts and find out why we're paying for them. Start with a floating steakhouse. This, I think, is one of the best ideas of all. A first-rate steakhouse is not inexpensive. Don't think Outback, rather, think Morton's or Capitol Grill. A prime, well-marbled ribeye can set your credit card reeling, then add the ubiquitous creamed spinach and baked potato and your kids' college fund is momentarily depleted. On a ship, the equivalent steakhouse experience can be had for the modest amount of $25 per person on the new Allure of the Seas Sambas Grill. True, this is a Brazilian steakhouse, not Morton's or Ruth's Chris, but have you ever eaten in a Brazilian steakhouse? You're in for a treat, and I'll bet you don't have too many of them in your hometown. Worth $25? Yes indeed. The Norwegian Cruise Lines offers as many as 13 different restaurants per ship, including a French bistro, Japanese, Tex-Mex, etc., costing somewhere between $10 to $25 additional per person. I would not pay extra for Tex-Mex, and I wonder how French the bistro was. I'd make inquiries before signing on to that one. Nor would I sip a $3.26 grande latte at a Starbucks at sea. I can get Starbucks on almost any American city and by the dozen. I'm not knocking Starbucks, I love their coffee, but come on. I'm on the sea to escape my humdrum day to day, yet I see tons of people standing in line every day on the ship. That's the beauty of it. We all have choices and opinions, and cruise lines are meeting that need. Celebrity Cruises has at least one specialty restaurant per ship. At Murano you can begin your meal with escargots tortellini with a fricassee of morels, pancetta lardons and roasted garlic parsley foam, crispy seared sweetbreads cooked with shallots, capers, basil puree and sun-dried tomato or pan-seared palmex foie gras, heirloom tomato confit, duck rillettes in a foie de brique with roasted ginger and toasted hazelnuts. I have no idea what half of that stuff even is, but it sounds like a recent episode of Top Chef Masters or Iron Chef. You then get a choice of various homemade soups and salads, followed by entree choices that include Maine lobster, pan-seared filet mignon, a seafood risotto, sautéed duck breast or mushroom-crusted Colorado rack of lamb. Are you full yet? There's still an extensive dessert selection. All of this for $30 per person. In summation, are the specialty restaurants worth the extra cost? If you enjoy a new restaurant every night, wish to try exotic foods, crave a romantic hand-holding evening at an ocean view window, with the full moon crafting a brilliant path right toward your table, then most assuredly go for it. But if you want to keep the costs down, but why? You're on a vacation, maybe the one you've been looking forward to for years, then go to the main dining room or the buffet or, room service. There is always plenty of free food around the ship, but we suggest you consider trying an alternative restaurant at least once during your cruise, or you'll be missing a new experience, with new tastes in new surroundings. It seems as if every travel sector has its own terms. For example, the airline industry has words such as transfer or layover. The tour guides has language using hosted or get. Travel by ship cruises is no exception. One of the most important terms you should be aware of before booking a cruise is all-inclusive. You should know what this is and the questions you should ask. You don't want any surprises and unexpected out-of-pocket expenses. All-inclusive basically means that you pay a ticket price and get a list of services and products. This price usually gets you a room, travel to destination, meals, activities, entertainment, and staff services. Each company has an additional list of extras and services. There are some basic steps you need to perform. The best place to start is the brochure. You will need to find out what is and is not covered by the price you are going to pay. You will also want to read the fine print carefully. Shore excursions. One of the primary topics covered in the brochure is shore excursions. Usually, this is not covered by the ticket price. If you choose to do some sightseeing at one of the ports, you need to be aware that food, souvenirs, and tours are additional costs. Port taxes. Your travel budget can be affected by port taxes. Look in the fine print for this one. A port tax is paid by passengers to each destination the ship stops. Port taxes vary, so it is a good idea to inquire about this tax for all ports on your trip. Tipping. Tipping is another cost you need to consider. Many passengers are confused as to how much or when to tip. Usually the brochure and pamphlets on board a ship will have some information pertaining to tipping. It is important to know that each cruise line has its own tipping policy that may vary from the general industry. Usually, you will need to be aware that the stateroom attendant, headwaiter, assistant waiter, room service, and dining manager gets a tip. Sometimes you can pay for tips before a cruise. Yet there are some cruises that automatically deduct tips and add it to an account that you will need to pay at the end of the trip. Tipping is very confusing because there isn't a standard for the cruise industry. Although it is rare that any type vacation is hassle-free. Being aware of industry terms and costs help reduce the frustrations. And budgeting for these costs will help you to have a fun, exciting, and happy vacation that will bring lifelong memories. There are multiple types of cruise ships available. Here are just some of them. First, there's the contemporary ship. This ship type is composed of low to medium-priced cruises that house hundreds of people at a time thanks to the huge size of these mega ships. They're some of the most modern mega liners around with the capacity to carry over 3,000 clients at any given moment. They're also packed full of amenities, from children's centers to gym facilities, bars and restaurants to health spas. Examples of cruisers like this include brands like Carnival, Norwegian, Star Costa Cruises, Royal Caribbean, Disney, and so forth. As for premium cruises, they include Celebrity, Cunard, Holland America, and Princess Cruises. These brands typically offer medium to large cruises as well as the occasional mega ship. The main difference between premium cruises and contemporary ships is that premium ships, true to their name, take on fewer passengers and offer exclusivity as part of its package. If you're a rich man who doesn't like mingling on a crowded ship, then a premium cruise is the way to go for you. Everything else is also of higher quality on a premium cruise, from the food to the facilities. These ships also include a better ship variety because they also come in the style of sailing vessels. As for the itineraries, premium ships usually offer week-long cruises as well as cruises that last a little bit longer, including cruises that tour the entire world. The price of the cruise will depend on the length of the journey and the amount of days you'll be spending on the boat. As a rule of thumb, it's usually 10% more expensive than your average contemporary cruise ship journey. The main appeals of these ships are elegance, class, and sophistication that go hand in hand with their exclusivity. In exchange for smaller crowds and better food, you'll be paying a little more than for a contemporary ship. If you don't mind the food or the crowds of contemporary ships, then that's a good in-between ship between the sheer expensiveness of a premium ship and the affordability of budget ships. Budget ships, like their name suggests, are smaller cruise ships created in order to allow families who can't even afford contemporary ships to have a taste of the sweet life on deck. It's cheap, so you shouldn't expect anything fancy, but as far as budget cruises are concerned, many of them are decent enough. It's not like you're flying coach on an airplane or anything, they have a more old-fashioned appeal. Darren James MSCB Eng Leonard James Promotions Leonard James Promotions